League of Women Voters of Cupertino Sunnyvale presents City Council Candidate Forum 2008, featuring the 3 candidates running for Cupertino City Council. And now for tonight's moderator, Elaine Manley.
Welcome to the Cupertino City Council Candidates Forum. This forum is sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Cupertino and Sunnyvale. I'm Elaine Manley from the League, and I'll be the moderator this evening. For those of you that are not familiar with the League, we're a nationwide nonpartisan organization. We provide an environment where a person can come and listen to the candidates and have a forum that is unbiased. We also do pro and con presentations with the whole goal of safeguarding democracy and keeping democracy working. So tonight, we have the opportunity to hear from 3 candidates running for the seat on the Cupertino City Council. They will be elected to a 4-year term. And I'd like to introduce the candidates at this time. They are Chihua Wei, Tien Ho.
Good evening.
And Mark Santoro. Now this evening, the candidates have agreed to a set of ground rules. Briefly, they will abide by our timekeeper, Sandy Howard, who is going to make sure that they stay within the time limits as they answer the questions. They'll have 2 minutes for an opening, 1.5 minutes to answer questions, and a 2-minute closing. We will take a 5-minute break after the opening statement so that you have time to write down your questions, and the League members have cards available to you so you can jot down the question. Please just print clearly so that I can read the question. Okay, and then the candidates will get a chance, each one of them, to answer those questions. So we'll begin with opening statements. You have 2 minutes, and we'll start with Chihua Wei.
Hi, I am Chihua Wei. I'm the #1 on the ballot of this election. My strongest passion is to serve this community. Since 1983, I have lived and raised my family in Cupertino. I'm one of the founders of Organization of Special Needs Families in Cupertino. And OSF has been awarded and recognized at the 2006 Crest Award for outstanding services by serving the families with special needs and train and help and mentor over 1,000 youth volunteers. I have learned a lot. What is more important with a great heart to give and more than to receiving. And what we are satisfied is we see a happy heart that has been helped. I have also served on Housing Commission to help to establish policies in helping low incomes, our teachers, and public servants, and to help them to get a house that near the city. I am a block leader helping the neighborhood. I'm a third member. While there's disasters, there's urgent needs, I will be there with all the citizens in Cupertino. When we elect someone, not only we want someone who has a good intention to serve this community, but also we want someone who has shown their passion, has been there to work with everyone, has been there to show us that we can work together. And today, we are all here to show that we have this desire and have this interest, but I want everyone to know that I have the strongest passion, and I will be glad to work with everyone for the benefit of this whole city and every citizen of this great, wonderful city. Thank you.
Thank you. Tien Ho.
Thank you. Good evening. I would like to first of all thank the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this tonight's event. This is probably the first time and maybe the only time that you will see the 3 candidates together for this special election. Who would you prefer? What qualifications do you believe are the most critical in electing a council member? Who do you think will be able to realistically, objectively, and sensibly resolve and deal with issues at hand? Hopefully the next 2 hours will help you decide which candidate has the experience, the integrity, and the leadership to deserve your vote. Among the 3 candidates, I am the only one who has extensive experience in both the private sector and public service. As a member of the Santa Clara County Board of Education, I served many times on the Budget Committee, providing direction for the preparation of the county office's $260 million budget I also chair the Policy Committee and the Legislative Action Committee because public agencies must have proper rules, and also I believe an education agency must also advocate for our children. I also served on the Special Education Local Plan Area SALPA 2 Executive Committee, and also on the North County Regional Occupational Services Program. I believe this is because the public education should not only serve the top-tier students. Through all these activities, I have gained valuable experience. In my 13 years as Santa Clara County Board of Education, I have always listened to both sides of an issue. I have analyzed them thoroughly and with fair and objective mind. I believe that this experience is valuable and it's not challengeable. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Santoro.
Thank you. I'd like to also thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this, and for all of you that have shown up in the audience, and for the large number of you that apparently watch on TV. I learned last time. I'd also like to thank all of you that voted for me in the last election, and I think it clearly showed that it's very important that people get educated and that people vote. There was only a few hundred votes between 3 different people in the last election. So it's very important, if you have an opinion and you care, that you get out and vote, and thank you for those of you voted for me, and for those of you that didn't think I had a chance and didn't vote for me, well, hopefully you'll see different this time. My belief is that I'm for the people. The Constitution says we're supposed to be a government of, by, and for the people, and I think a lot of people in Cupertino think that the city's not working for them. And so I'd like to change that impression. I think it's a pretty good city, and I think that the city is doing a pretty good job for the people, but part of it's perception, and part of it I think the city can do better. We need to look at things like congestion in traffic, overcrowding in schools, potentially keeping the library open a little more regular schedule so people know when it's open. I have pretty strong opinions on housing, as most of you are aware. I'm very much in favor of property owners' rights. People should be able to remodel their homes without excessive hassle and problems. But I don't like to see large condo projects popping up randomly through in the city. I think the city needs to have a vision, and it needs to do a little bit of planning about how they're going to develop things and where they're going to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we'll take a 5-minute break, as I mentioned, and we encourage you to take a moment and write down your questions for the candidates. We'll gather all of those and try to get them organized so that there's enough different topics and each candidate gets an opportunity to answer your questions. So let's take that 5-minute break now.
And the table's right there.
All right, we're ready to get started with all of the questions. Thank you for all of those of you that took the time to write your questions. We'll do our best to get them all answered for you tonight. The first question, we will start with Tien Ho. You'll get the first response. And the question reads, what experience on qualification uniquely qualifies you for the City Council?
I have served the citizens of Cupertino for the last 13 plus years on the school board. I have been involved with many, many activities in the city. And one of the most important issues these days is the overcrowding at schools. And that issue has become a problem that the school districts cannot solve by themselves. It needs cooperation between the city and the school districts. And my experience in the education field would uniquely qualify me because I understand their problems. And if I'm elected to the City Council, I will have that background with me that will really help the city resolve that problem for all the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Santoro.
Thank you. I'm not a politician, as most of you know, and I don't have a lot of experience with city government. The experience I do have in Cupertino is in building a house, getting involved with several neighborhood issues. I've been involved with the Planning Commission, with the staff, and with the City Council on a few issues. My background is as an engineer, so I tend to think logically. We all have strengths and weaknesses. My strength is I'm good at assimilating a lot of data and trying to make sense out of it. I was the CEO of a company for many years. I still am, and so I'm used to dealing with large projects, large number of people. When you're running a company, if you don't balance your budget, you go out of business in a small company. So being involved in a city, the city council is much like the board of directors for a company, and so I think that experience can help with the city council. Thank you.
Thank you. Chihua Wei?
I think to serve on the city council, we have to have a good communication skill, have enough multiple cultural background to understand where we are coming from, understand issues. So I have been serving in the community. I have been working with people of different ages, from children in the preschool to teens in the school, to young adults, and even serve. I'm a volunteer at the senior center. People with disabilities or people with typical needs, education, different issues, parks, how do we share the resources? So there are actually many issues actually surrounding people. So it is how do we communicate, how do we bridge, how do we address and understand each other and come to a conclusion that best benefit every citizen in this city. I have also coming from high-tech companies as senior management and have extensive project training skill and also have extensive analysis skill. When a problem comes, how do we look at the problem, address the pros and cons, and solve it? So I think it has a combination, a whole package of a person that can sit in this council and effectively and efficiently help every citizen in this city. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next question will start with Mark Santoro, and the question reads, how can we get the handicapped and disabled involved in more youth sports and more involved in this community? How about starting a commission for handicapped and disabled kids and adults? Your thoughts?
I think getting the handicapped involved in all aspects of life is an important thing. Handicapped people can contribute a lot to society. They can also enjoy society if they can get out and about, and I think it's a very important thing. I think that forming a group to look into that is a very good idea. I think that the city, certainly with state mandates and things, has taken steps to make things wheelchair accessible. They've done things with restrooms and things like that, but that's different than also trying to get people out and involved in the community. I have met people at various city events that have shown up in wheelchairs or on crutches or have various other handicaps, and I think it's a wonderful thing, and I encourage the handicapped people of the city to get out and get involved. If you get involved yourself, that's a good way to remind people that you're there and to keep an eye out for you as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Chihua Wei?
I think this would be actually touching the deep of my heart. I have been working with, we used to call handicapped, now we love to call them special needs. Work with them for many years, and I know the hearts of the need. I think to make it work, first we have to have a very good community service system. That everyone just looking at our heart and to see what we can give. From giving, we actually receive a lot. Young people actually mature when they have help handicapped people. I actually volunteer at Cupertino Little League. I volunteer as a coach in AYSO VIP soccer, and I help with the basketball team to give the opportunity to handicapped children or adults a chance that they can enjoy the same life that you and I can enjoy. We never look at them as they can do nothing. Actually, we look at them as their big heart and their potential. If we give enough help and we all do our best, they will enjoy this life with us and build a wonderful community together. I think we can do a great to help handicapped or special needs people to actually live in this community with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Tien Ho?
Yes, number one, to answer that, I'm all for a commission for the special needs people. Number two, like I said, I have served on the SELPA 2, the Special Education Committee, and I know for sure that the county has programs that have some deaf students participating in high school football. You wonder how the other team would understand or whether they get the hand gestures, but they have developed secret codes and all these things. Every year I attend the graduation of special education students. I see the joy that in their faces and on the faces of their families. I think it is necessary and it's a must that we need to do this. The first time when I participated with an organization called Friends of Children with Special Needs, they have now 500 families. Their family play together, and I think that's what we need to do. It's not just to have special ed people or children do the athletic program, but we all join them, and a league of this would be great, and maybe OSF and FCSN can jointly participate and sponsor something like this, together with the city, of course. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next question will start with Chihua Wei. And this question reads, since programs for senior citizens are county, state, and federal programs to help those who need it and not on a city level, prices are kept very low and are in many languages with professional managers and social workers. How can that be improved upon by the Cupertino City Council?
Cupertino has a senior commission, and Cupertino has a wonderful senior center. I volunteered there for many years because I really want to get closer to senior, so I can understand the issue of senior, that eventually we really know how to help. Or I would rather say, how can we work together? City can actually provide many different activities. I wanted to also mention there are other ethnic groups in Cupertino also established their senior center. There's a lot of things we can work together. Cross-cultural appreciation, senior-related issues. Some of the seniors are limited to their house, and how do we bring the food and the help to their house? And when they have a need, how do we get the volunteers to help them together? When our seniors come out, how do we make the city more convenient, either in the shopping or in the library? How do we make public transportation more convenient to our seniors? Make it lovely so we all can enjoy together. I think there's a lot we can do together to help seniors.
Thank you. Tien Ho.
Okay, I agree with everything Chihua said, but in addition, some seniors had come to me and said that they could not take some adult education classes at the senior center because they are being double charged. They have to pay the senior center membership and the class fee, and I think that's nickel and dime our senior citizens. I would like to waive that double charging to the senior citizens. Many of them are on fixed income and cannot just afford that additional charge. I'd also like to open up Monday through Friday during work hours when the younger people are at work, that sports center is not fully utilized, that we give very steep discount to senior citizens to do some stationary biking and workout in the sports center. And that's actually a win-win situation. It will generate some moderate income for the city, but also utilize that sports center better. I also want to I need to study the cost, but I'd like to see whether the city can run a trolley between Cupertino Square all the way to Sunnyvale and back and forth, and offer senior citizens free rides, including stops at the senior center and other areas. My time's up. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mark Santoro.
First, with regards to the last question about handicapped or special needs people, I'd like to give a plug to one of my esteemed colleagues here, Chihua Wei. For those of you that don't know, he didn't toot his own horn, has been very involved in that, and you'll hear more about that for quite some time. So one way to help the handicapped is to get more people like that to get involved and help. So with regards to the current question, there's a lot of things that can be done. For example, in the last election, we had a debate. We were invited to go up to the forum, with those of you who don't know, is a senior housing kind of assisted living kind of thing along with senior housing. And one of their issues there was very small. They couldn't see the Cupertino Channel, which those of you that are watching are now seeing because they didn't have cable in their area. That problem has subsequently been fixed, is my understanding. At least I hope that's the case. And so it's a big win for them to have that capability. Another thing I think that can be done is just education, but also paying attention to where we put housing. One thing that we could use is everybody's trying to build condo projects. Instead, how about let's have some senior housing for sale so that people in homes in Cupertino can now retire to something that's more convenient, easy to go to stores and things like that, and more set up for seniors. And that wouldn't increase the school population and things like that, and would go a long way to helping the city in several ways. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, for our next question, we will start with Tien Ho. The question reads, have you accepted donations of $1,000 or more from developers with interest in Cupertino? And if so, how can you serve Cupertino residents unbiasedly?
No, I have not. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mark Santoro.
No, I have not. As most of you are aware, I haven't accepted any or sought any endorsements as well. And I won't take any funds from any special interest groups or builders. I've only taken donations from private citizens and funded most of my campaign myself. Thank you.
Thank you. Chihua Wei.
So far, I have accepted donation from my treasurer for $99. My account balance is $79. So sooner or later, I have to donate some money to myself because I probably have to put up some sign and flyers so people really know I'm running for council. So no, I haven't accepted any dollar from developers.
Thank you. All right, our next question will start with Mark Santoro. And this question says, what is your position on the Mary Avenue extension?
Would that be the footbridge?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I guess my position doesn't matter. The footbridge is a done deal, and none of us that get elected have any say in that. The first meeting that I had with the staff to talk about things involving the city, that was one issue that came up, and I was kind of curious to how much it was going to actually cost the citizens and how many people were going to use it. But it was clear that that issue would be settled before any involvement by me. So it's pretty much a done deal, and we have it whether people like it or not. And so I hope it turns out wonderfully, and a lot of people use it.
All right, thank you. Chihua Wei?
I think I have the same standing. This has already been decided. Well, my personal thinking is that we do a project. We do want to evaluate the cost versus efficiency. If enough study has been done to show us that there's enough foot traffic from the homestay area into the Oak area, then definitely worth it. But I also hope that we can really have a very good study and also encourage different kind of transportations between the areas. Possibly, we could use the money for a more efficient way. But as I said, this is already been decided, and we really hope whatever has been decided will make its best function, and we all benefit from it.
Thank you. Tien Ho?
I guess both my friends have spoken. The bridge is under construction. I would like to thank the VTA for donating most of the construction funds so that it will not cost the citizens of Cupertino that much. I believe initially the utilization of bridge might not be that good, but since it's being built, I think we need to encourage more people to use it. It's good for our health, and it's always good to walk and climb stairs or whatever. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this next question will start with Chihua Wei. And this one is, as a city council member concerned about the businesses of Cupertino, would you consider coordinating with the Chamber of Commerce about location of events now being held at Memorial Park instead of being held where company businesses are in view? For example, on Portal on Portal next to Marketplace?
I think we're probably referring to the festivals like Jubilee that is sponsored by Chamber. I think it's a wonderful event because that brings out the whole community and demonstrate that the whole community can enjoy multiple cultures, different events, and a beautiful sun, green grass together, and it's healthy for the whole family, for the neighborhood. I think the question is, do we want to move it from either the library or Memorial Park into the portal and coordinate with Chamber? I think Chamber I'm a Chamber member. I think Chamber is always very open-minded because when we have festival, we're not trying to bother or bring the trouble to the community. Actually, we want to make it a happy and a joyful event. I personally think maybe possibly the portal area is a little bit too small for that kind of events. Maybe instead of, if I also understand when we work in the park, there's really noise level and the trouble to impact the neighborhood. I think maybe a possible choice is to go to school like at De Anza College, which has a lot of activities going on. I think it's worth studying it. So see if we can find the best location, has enough parking spaces, and also can accommodate a lot of interesting events, activities, so we all can enjoy it.
Thank you. Tian Ho?
The events in Cupertino have almost always been held at Memorial Park. I am for building an open-air, pedestrian-only shopping, recreational complex close to where Cupertino Square is. And I think that would be a good location to sponsor some of the future events there. There are parkings available already, and that would also help the merchants in that area. I think we also need to have people experience Cupertino, enjoy the experience here, and that will attract us, outsiders, to come to Cupertino and enjoy different areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Santoro.
First, I'd like to say one of the wonderful things about living in Cupertino is that we have very diverse cultures. For those of you that have never been to the Moon Festival or the Denali Festival or something, they're wonderful events. I encourage people to go. I also encourage people to be cognizant of the neighbors when they go to those events. There's been a lot of issues with people having their bushes trampled, garbage left on the yard, and things like that live near Memorial Park. And that causes problems for all of us, and it's very unfair to those people who live near there for us to do that to them. So I would encourage people to be aware of that and be kind to their neighbors. I think it's a wonderful idea to talk to the Chamber of Commerce, and I think we would need that kind of help because remember, if you're going to do it around a bunch of businesses, you actually have to get them to agree. So the City Council can't just decide we're going to stick this thing in the middle of a shopping center or something. The shopping center owners would have to agree to that. I think it's a good idea, and I think it can be used to actually increase people shopping and visiting the area if we do it properly, and I think it's definitely worth discussing, but it is something that needs a fair bit of buy-in to move, so it's non-trivial. And in the meantime, until when or if we do move these events, then I would encourage people to, once again, keep your neighbors in mind and be kind to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question will start with Tian Ho. This question is, how do you intend to help our schools if elected?
Thank you. The public education in the classroom is, by law, the function of the school districts. However, I think the city government needs to communicate with our local school boards and find out what they need. We should not like building a lot of condos that impact so much of the school enrollment. So I would like to maybe form a subcommittee within the city council with 2 council members and also 2 from each of our local school boards, maybe also from the De Anza College board, that we meet regularly to discuss what the schools need and what they think the city can help. I don't think we should just impose on the school districts, but we need to work together and find out the needs of the school districts. The funding models for the different school districts, from the elementary school and the high school district, are different. So their needs and their desires are also different. And we need to understand that and work with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Santoro?
Well, first, the best way to help the schools is to help the students and get the parents involved. So all parents that have kids in school should get involved, and that's the biggest help you can do. Part of the things that those parents do, there's an endowment in Cupertino which has raised a fair chunk of money that does a lot of after-school activities and things, and they have a dinner coming up in the not-too-distant future. I encourage people to look into that and make a donation that will help the schools as well. Finally, one of the things about the schools that concerns me is the traffic congestion in front of the schools in the morning and as our children leave the schools. It's a problem, it's unsafe, and it gets people edgy and agitated while parents are trying to get to school and drop off their kids. And I think we need to look into that problem and try to alleviate it, as well as making it easier for students to bike to school. There are some unsafe places students have to ride bikes, and therefore they don't, and they have more cars tying up things. So I think that would also help with the school system. Thank you.
Thank you. Chihua Wei?
First, I'd like to say that we are not running for school trustee. So, but because the students and the families live in the city, so there is a lot of responsibility city has. My first proposal is we establish education commission. That is a coordinated organization group that we work with school board, with the principals. We work with daycare. We work with preschool centers. We work with Dianza College, all the educational activity groups. And we can even work with the housing and planning, because we have to have a global and a cohesive plan and a view for solving this whole educational issue. Solving education is not just getting them a good grade, but also we want to educate the youth and build a good personality, and that's good for the future for this good country. So I think a couple of things we could do. We could link our library system to the school library system. For example, when the students come to our library, they want to find the convenience that they cannot get when they are not in school environment. Our parks can work with the schools, that we provide facilities and activities so that we can enhance the school's ability to provide good activities. We can provide community services so our kids can learn how to help. We actually can have a model to solve the traffic problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next question will start with Mark Santoro. This one says, with today's announcement of the state massive deficit and the probable effect on the city's budget, how would you position the city to deal with the possible decrease in funds?
These are always complex questions. As I said earlier, one of the issues with being involved with the city is fiscal responsibility. My questions about the bridge were related to just that. I think that one of the things that tends to happen is the city has a little extra money, the council wants to spend it. And then when times are tough, they don't have it. If you do that in a company and you spend it and then you don't have it, then you're out of business. Cities just raise taxes or pick on whoever they think they can pick on to pick up some extra money to get through those times. And I think it's more important to plan and try to be fiscally responsible and not get yourself into that type of position. So I think that we just need to pay a little more attention. And if we do occasionally goof up, then we need to kind of share that burden rather than burden one particular group with it. If we all made a mistake, we all made a mistake. But I think it's more important not to spend the money. I'm not a believer in big government. I think we should keep our spending to a minimum. I think that government kind of self-perpetuates, and as long as you give it money, and the rule is if you spend the money, then you get more, then government tends to spend more money. So I think we need to be aware of that and try to keep that to a minimum. Thank you.
Thank you. Chihua Wei?
First, I want to say I believe our city is a very efficient government. A couple years ago, on this, while Sandy James was mayor, Black leaders and a few concerned citizens, we played a game. How do we balance the budget? It was very interesting. That actually is very eye-opening. I think we all understand that there's a lot of things, facilities, establishment, helping. There's a lot of things that city needs to do to help all the citizens. It requires money. So where the money comes from? I think very importantly, we wanted to actually striving our economy. We need to have a good plan with the local shops, with a local business person, with working with chambers, find all the channels to bring in very good shoppings, good restaurants, and so the city can using the tax revenue to actually help our parks, help our libraries, help address the traffic issues, help to solve the environmental problem that's happening to this city. We need to work together to make the economy booming, like making a downtown between our Whole Food and our Cupertino Square, and try to establish some shortened traffic so people can go from this end to that end and spend more money in our shops, and the city can get more money to do more things to help our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Tien Ho?
There are two ways to face a financial crisis, as we all do in our homes. One way is to increase your income somehow, and the other way is to cut back, tighten our belt. And this time, it is this governor announced basically an across-the-board 10% cut. For Cupertino, that will probably mean for our operating budget, from the $41 million budget, we'll probably will lose $4 million. And that from the state funding, well, not all of them is from the state. But I think we need to, first of all, probably go to the collective bargaining units and discuss whether everybody will be willing to sacrifice so that all of us can keep our jobs, or there may be some personnel action that we need to do. That's not a very popular thing to say. The other thing is I looked at the city revenue. 26% of the city revenue last year, or actually last fiscal year, came from a sales tax. If we advocate for business growth, we may be able to have more revenues from sales tax. That will offset some of the potential budget cuts that's coming down from Sacramento. It's easily said and done, I realize that, and that's more urgently that we need to build a good shopping and recreational complex so that we can attract people to come here and spend their money so we can save our jobs here. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next question will be with Chihua Wei. And this question is, what will you do towards city beautification, such as tree planting, etc.?
A beautiful environment makes us all feel very wonderful. When we go out in the morning, we see trees, we see grasses, the sun is on us. It's a wonderful day. I have seen very beautiful cities all around when I travel, and I think Cupertino has a very good foundation to make it even prettier. Building trees is definitely a wonderful idea. I remember I went to Vancouver and I see all the flowers hanging out of the windows. I think we can all do promotions and educate each other. We can use block leaders and actually working in the neighborhood. And the city could assist families that cannot afford. We actually can build a lot of bushes and flowers and plant some trees and make the city very beautiful and keep it very, very clean so that we all enjoy living in this wonderful city.
Thank you. Tien Ho?
I'm all for trees and flowers and parks, and I think we have beautiful parks in this city. However, with the last question, I think for this coming year, if we need to cut back on certain things, maybe next year we shouldn't plant too many trees using public funds. Wait until our state fiscal crisis is over, then we'll think about what we can do. In the meantime, we would encourage private citizens to beautify their yards to help make Cupertino an even better place for everybody to enjoy.
Thank you. Mark Santoro.
I think a large part of the city is not owned by the city, it's owned by the individuals, and we can all do our best to help. First, I'd like to apologize for the signs that are going up with my name on them for the election, and surely they will come down afterward. They're not the prettiest thing, but all of us need to do that so people are aware we're running. People can do simple things like pick up trash. I was behind somebody the other day and watched them throw garbage out of their window onto the street. Well, that trash goes somewhere. It gets blown in somebody's yard. It has to be picked up by someone. So everyone can do their part. You know, we all have our homes. We can all plant a tree or a bush or a flower in front of our house. If everyone beautifies their house just a little bit, that goes a long way to helping the city be a much nicer place to live. And finally, we can pay attention to the buildings we're building and where they are and how they are. If we put one big eyesore in the middle of a chunk of our city, we all suffer from that for a long period of time, and you got to plant a lot of flowers to try to hide something that's really hideous. So I think all of those things together we can do to help make our city more attractive. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next question will start with Tien Ho. This question is, how would you work to bring together the diverse ethnic groups of our city?
I actually, on the Santa Clara County Board of Education, have always worked with different ethnic groups. I have also always considered issues without looking at the racial and cultural backgrounds. I think it is incumbent upon every city council member to understand, to get better understanding of the other cultures in the city. We should all appreciate them. And the city has some events I think we should all go to, especially the ones that has some ethnic or cultural background that we're not familiar with. We should go there and learn and appreciate the beauty of every culture. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Santoro.
I think the most important thing there is we all need to communicate with each other. This is a wonderful city. When I knock on doors campaigning, I don't see people going, oh, you're the white guy or whatever. They're more interested in what do you care about, what issues are important to you. That's how I'm looking how I'm going to vote. It makes me very happy in this community to see that people are looking at voting because of the issues and not because of what ethnic background the people are in. I was kind of disheartened as I'm watching the current primaries going on, people talking about, well, we might have the first woman or the first black person for president. I think it'd be wonderful to just say there's a person running for president someday and we all don't have to look and see what color, what race they are or where they're from. But I think as individuals, once again, we can all act and go out and talk with our friends. The people that are helping me in this campaign are from most of the world. They're all over the place. If you look at my flyer, there's a picture of some of them, but they're a very diverse group. And they just care about Cupertino. They don't care about, you know, where I'm from or where they're from. They care about the city they live in and making it a better place. And I think we can all do some of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Chihua Wei?
I would say this also touches my heart dearly. I've been working with different ethnic groups, communities. I still remember a few years ago, I joined the 5 Cs, and at that time there were issues among different cultures. And I learned a lot that how do we communicate, how do we make friendship, how do we understand each other, how do we appreciate the differences of our culture. I joined the Black Leader, and I was one of the speakers to help my fellow Black leaders understand Chinese culture. And Mahesh was there presenting how do we understand Indian culture. And I brought a radio station to shoot for Diwalis, and I go to Jubilees. I think a couple things that we can do together. First, we communicate with each other, that we don't block each other. We make friends, and then we come out and appreciate the differences between us. We open our heart, open our mind, and open our eyes, and we really love each other. All the cultures basically has love in there, has joy in there, and together we really can make this multicultural, diversified city a wonderful place to live together. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next question will start with Mark Santoro. This question is, how will your experience help the City Council manage the city staff? And is there anything in particular you'd like to improve upon in the city administration currently?
As I said earlier, I have a fair bit of experience dealing with both the staff and the Planning Commission and the City Council. Once again, I think the most important thing is fair and open government. If everybody sees what their elected officials and their city staff are doing, it makes the problem a lot easier. A lot of times the problems are simply that there's a misunderstanding, and if you don't know what somebody's doing, then you think they're up to no good. Maybe they're not up to no good. They're doing wonderful things, but you just don't know what they're doing. So I think an important part of that is to really keep track of what people are doing, make it more open. You know, we heard something about a budget, but I think most people in the city have no idea how we're doing on a budget. A simple thing in a quarterly report saying, here's how our budget's doing would be a wonderful thing. reports from staff about what's going on in the city so that people can be aware of that, I think are wonderful things. I think we need to make sure that our government and our staff as well are accountable, and that they're paying attention to the needs of the people, and a lot of it's just an attitude. You have to understand that if you're an elected official or staff, you're working for the citizens. It's not the other way around. And if just that simple attitude shifts and we're more fair and open and the public knows what's going on, I think that's a tremendous help. Thank you.
Thank you. Chihua Wei?
I think this city government is a wonderful one because I have personal experience. I go to community hall, I go to community center, and I meet staff there. I go to city hall, I meet staff there. They are everywhere. So as a city council, very important thing that we want to accomplish for the good administration of the government is we wanted to bring the need together. We first need to be among the people in the community, understand all the needs, all the issues that every citizen is really having in their heart. And then we have to meet the staffs and understand their load, understand their concern, and understand how does the government can work together to meet the people's need. And also, they are also our friends. They just work in the city, that they also need our support, our encouragement, so that it is a very mutual thing that we can make sure that from Dave Knapp and all his staff, that really addressing all the needs, and we all appreciate them. This kind of understanding and the feedback can improve the whole service, and improve the whole understanding, and make this city government even more efficient than ever. Thanks.
Thank you. Tien Ho?
Okay, let me first clarify that I don't personally have any personal interest of any issues that's facing the city right now or with the city staff. Then I also want to state that I agree with Mark that the city council is like the board of directors. We work through the city manager, and if we have any issues with any city staff, we should discuss this with the city manager. The city council should, if not at this time, that we should have an annual performance review for the city manager, give him direction, him or her, in the future, directions as to what the council desires for the city to serve the people. And if the staff is not performing, it is incumbent upon the city manager to get them working. And the city council should talk with the city manager and get things straightened out. And that's my position. I think that's the right way to do it. Otherwise, we'll be micromanaging staff. And that is not the right way to do things. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next question will begin with Chihua Wei. And this is a two-part question. It's, how will you help make Cupertino a more environmentally green city? And do you think Cupertino could become a solar city like Menlo Park and Los Altos? And do you support this?
Yes, I think that is a wonderful idea. When you drive on the freeway, you see the windmills, and sometimes you see the solar system on top of the roof of the house. This is a very good thing because God gave us the greatest gift is the sun. We all can enjoy that and save the energy. I think city can really do a lot of things. I personally think that policy comes from the higher government, but city can work together. We can encourage our citizens to use more solar system, to use more recycled materials, to make the city more green, like the library we just built. We'll be more aware of the need of making the city more green and to save our environment. We all can work together to make the city more green. And I think the solar system is a wonderful idea, and we should really learn from the cities that some of the audience has mentioned, and really learn from the benefit and learn from how they make it happen. And we can actually borrow the experience and implement it in Cupertino. I think we can make it even better. Thanks.
Thank you. Tien Ho?
Thank you. I actually have discussed before former Councilman Lowenthal stepped down of implementing solar panels on these city-owned buildings. I'm actually currently pushing to get the County Office of Education install solar panels in the large office building that we have Actually, I checked with the staff there. I don't know the utility bills in the city here, but the County Office of Education annually pays $600,000 for electricity. And with my help, we've studied. I think once we install solar panels there, we could save about 60% of that electricity. PG&E is encouraging this, and and there's a way for public agencies to fund these things, because there are certain funds that would actually own these panels and then lease it back to the city. That way we don't have the upfront cost. I understand also Los Altos Hills has this incentive of private homes. If they build with solar panels, they will allow some increased footage for the building as an incentive for people to do this. And I think all these are great ideas. A minute and a half is too little for me to speak. But I have a green side of this brochure because I'm all for green. Thank you.
Well, thank you for abiding by our time. All right, Mark Santoro.
This is a very lengthy question. I'll do my best. First, I believe that there's a lot of people on this planet. If we don't pay attention to it, we're all going to suffer in our lifetimes, and it's a very important issue. However, I think it's important that we actually understand the issues. It's easy to say, I'm green, therefore I want to do this. There's a lot of corn going into fuel right now, and it's less efficient than a lot of other things. But for various reasons I won't get into, they're using corn, and that's really not necessarily a good answer. So I'd like us to use good answers to things. I'd also like to see us do the carrot rather than the stick approach. Right now we get punished, use more electricity, your rates go up, this, that, and the other thing. How about when you go in for a building permit, if you agree to put solar units on your house or insulate it better or something like that, you get a break. Right now, people tend to put the minimum amount of insulation in your house. It's cheap. You can put more in. How about an incentive, a break for people to do that? I think it's an important issue. I think there are people in the city pushing hard for it. There are people in the Planning Commission, I know they're pushing hard for it, and I think it's an important issue, and so incentives might help with that. Finally, back to my school traffic issue, getting a lot of cars not parked on the road for long periods of time would certainly go a long way to help. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next question, we will start with Tien Ho. And there were several questions on ABAG, but this one I think kind of summarizes them. Do you think the city needs to add additional housing as indicated by ABAG, and where would you add them?
I don't agree with ABAG because I think that regulation is artificially drawn. It measures by city the number of potential jobs versus residential houses. But people live in Saratoga who work in Cupertino, their houses are not counted. I don't think that's right. I think it would be better to do this on a regional basis because we travel. We don't stop there. We don't force anybody who works in Cupertino to live in Cupertino. So the ABAG regulation doesn't make sense to me. Having said that, I understand that they have revised this now, that we are complying with the ABAG regulation. I think it's 1,700 high-density units. I think we are in that range. I don't think we need any more condos at this time. Look at the schools. There are 3 areas of anybody's life that are important: where we live, where we work, and where we send our kids to school. And just by looking at the place we live and we ignore the other parts, especially our children, the future of the society, it's not right. And we need to solve that problem first, the infrastructure, the parking problems, the traffic, before we look at this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Santoro.
Well, whether or not I agree with it, the question is whether or not the state agrees with it and how strongly they feel about the issue, certainly. I think the city can push back on that rather than jumping in and going, oh boy, let's build a bunch more housing. I tend to not like converting commercial space into large condo projects, as many of you are aware. However, if we do need to add housing, as I suggested before, one alternative is to put together housing units for seniors. The good things here, it doesn't add to a lot of traffic. It doesn't add to, you limit it in the schools and you make it for-sale housing. So the seniors move from their house into those units. That frees up housing for younger people moving in the cities. And it also does not increase the number of students in schools, that particular housing, and does not do as much to increase traffic. And I think if we're careful where we put it, that can work out for the developers that are going to have to build housing, or if we need more housing. In general, I'm not in favor of cramming too many people in too small of a space. So I tend to resist that, but if we have to, I think that's one good way to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Chihua Wei?
When I first worked with a housing coalition, tried to find houses for people with handicap and needs medical care, that really draws my attention. And later I talked to some of the seniors in the city. And also here a different concern is when children are growing up and the house is becoming too big. But we have lived here for so many years. We really wanted to stay in this wonderful, beautiful city. But with that big house, what do we do with it? There are many people has this common understanding. I think Cupertino doesn't need more condos to crowd our schools, but we can build affordable housing. The housing can help our senior to find a comfortable place that they can stay in the city and close to the shopping and closer in the downtown, which doesn't cross traffic to the school. We can have this affordable housing so that people with special needs or they need a medical care, they can live there with their caregivers. Public servants, we can give them credit. So school teachers, officers, they can live close to the city where they serve our citizens and protect us. Although this doesn't bring any more traffic or any of the load to our existing infrastructure. Of course, I wouldn't say that until we do a full study, but I would actually try to initiate that project. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next question will start with Mark Santoro. This question is, how can a city council member deal with school overcrowding?
I think we just touched upon that question quite a bit. If you increase housing density around our schools, it's going to tend to increase traffic. I remember there was one project where a lot of 3- and 4-bedroom houses were coming in, and the claim was it would only add 1.5 students to the local schools. I think if you put a house within a half a mile of any of our fine schools, the people that move in there are going to tend to have children. So, you know, senior housing would help alleviate that problem, not building more condos and bringing more people in. Not that I don't like bringing people in, but you have to address the problem with balance and responsibly. You don't add a bunch of students to the schools if you haven't done anything about the schools or the roads. You have to deal with the infrastructure problems. You can't just push on one part of the problem and expect the other parts to take care of themselves. So I think certainly the schools can do some things to help, and we don't have jurisdiction over the schools, as was pointed out. However, we do have the ability to do something about housing in the city and what portion of the city is going into housing. So if we can't do something to alleviate traffic problems and school overcrowding, we shouldn't be building more condo projects and putting more people in the problem, because that just makes the problem worse and it's not fixing it.
Thank you. Chihua Wei.
Of course, we all wanted to address the housing issue so we don't have put more students into the school. That's a natural growth, so sometimes it's very hard to do. Of course, we can address the traffic, finding some traffic flow model so that we can alleviate all the concerns around the school area. Sometimes I think that maybe we can find citizens and come up with the foundations will help work with the school district to see if we can renovate the school facilities. We have so many students coming into the school. It's overcrowded. Could we look at the infrastructure of the school buildings to see if we can work within the limit of height and so on, so we can have more classrooms and work with parks and recs of the city so that some of the school facilities, the school's activities could be conducted in the city parks and the recs, so we have more rooms for school classrooms, building, and so on. So, or using the city libraries to complement the school libraries and share the facilities in the city. I think there are things that creatively we can work with the city, with the school district together.
Thank you. Tian Ho?
As I was walking precincts, knocking on doors, I heard so many people, so many young parents complaining that the schools have so many portables, that their children are losing play spaces during recess. And these are realistic problems. I don't know whether they can do a close-up. This is Monte Vista's enrollment. In 2001, they had 2,100 students. Now they have almost 2,600 students. That's 25% increase. This chart is Cupertino Elementary School District enrollment, 2001. Actually, in 1994, they had 13,000. 2001, they had 15,000. Currently, they have almost 17,000. That's a 40% increase from 1994, or 10% increase for the last 5 years. These kids are crowding our schools. I have some very drastic ideas. I don't know how feasible that we can do right away. I'm looking at, I know Cupertino has sold off their school sites, spare school sites before. Let's look at whether we could somehow turn the Fremont old site or Jolliman site back to school sites. If we have one school, maybe that'll help. That's like 5%. I know this is dramatic. I see some, I don't know how much it costs. I don't know the history, how that was turned over to be parks. But if we have to really solve the problem, they need space. Where do they find space? And the city should help. What can the city help? Everybody has to sacrifice. Maybe you have to go to a little farther away park. Thank you. STOP.
Thank you. All right, our next question will start with Chihua Wei. And this question is, an important once-in-a-lifetime project was just dedicated on November 11th in Memorial Park. How did you support this community project?
I'm all for it. I think we all know our veterans really has sacrificed their life to safeguard this country. And not only I personally support it, my family has bought a plaque. It's beautifully implanted. Organization of Special Needs Families has also bought a plaque, and we put our salute into this place. And we want every citizen of this city and all our children's and our children's children to remember this, that those wonderful young men, women, they have sacrificed their life. And I think that is a beautiful place. Memorial Park ought to have a memorial place for us to go there in such a beautiful sculpture and a beautiful setting, names on the wall. We can all learn from the history, and we all can share our salute to them and give our heart to their families and to their service to this country. And my whole heart is for this project, and I fully support it.
Thank you. Tian Ho.
My respect to Donna Exelson, who started this project, and the family sacrificed their son, Matthew, a graduate of Monte Vista, for our country. I think they deserve these things. I need to also mention Jem Suh, who was the other soldier in this picture of the memorial. I have taken out an application to put in a brick. Because of my campaign schedule, I want to come up with a really good sentence to put down there. I have not done that, but you have my words that I will do it. I want to come up with a really good statement to put it in there in memory of all those who sacrificed for our country. I think this is a great thing. It was, by the way, a very moving ceremony that at 11 on November 11th last year.
Thank you. Mark Santoro.
I think it's very important that we remember the people who have fought for our freedom. And I'd like to thank everyone who has done so. It's very important to all of us. I'd also like to remind everyone that, you know, freedom costs. You can't sit idly by and assume that your government or some random people are always going to protect you or your rights. If you care about your rights, you need to pay attention. You need to do what you people here are doing. You need to learn about the issues, learn about the candidates, and vote. If you don't do anything about your government's not necessarily going to go the right way. this government is of, by, and for the people, and we all need to get involved. Not just our veterans who have clearly gone way above and beyond things. I mean, people have gone out and died for us. It's the least we can do to educate ourselves a little bit and vote and look out for our own selves. So, you know, once again, I'd like to thank all of the veterans that have fought in all the wars for this country and looked out for everyone else. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, well, we were coming down to the last question. I'm going to combine two because they're related. So we will start with Tien Ho, and this question, the first part is, why do you want to serve on City Council at this time? And the second part is, will you participate as a team player or as an individual?
Oh, that was part of my opening statement I didn't get to say. I have always worked with my fellow school board members and worked very well with them. I earned their respect, I earned their support. I think that is the way to work. We may not always agree on issues, but that should never become a personality issue, that we should respect each of the council members, and we sometimes agree, sometimes we don't, but as long as we all work for the welfare of the citizens, that's the attitude. Now, the first part of the question, why am I running? Every time I drive by Dianza and Stephens Creek, I look at Montebello condos. I tell my wife, I just don't like that project. I think it changed the character of Cupertino. And we can't really have this thing going forever. I want to be able to speak for, I think people have spoken now, 2006. We need to look at the city overall from a comprehensive long-term strategic plan view, not just piecemeal-wise to do things. And I think my experience, my leadership, and my integrity will contribute to the City Council. And that's why I'm running. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Santoro.
First, I'd like to say I think Cupertino is a wonderful place to live. We have a very diverse population of a lot of bright, wonderful, friendly, nice people. And I think that it's just a great city. And I think that most of the people who work for the city are doing a wonderful job. I don't think there's hideously wrong things in Cupertino. It's not like we're worried about, you know, a lot of tremendous amount of crime and things, though we have it, but it's a pretty good city. I'm running because I'd like it to be better. Most importantly, I'd like the people of Cupertino to feel that they're involved in their government, and that's sort of the main reason I'm running. It doesn't mean that I will always agree with everyone, but I think it's important that people feel they're being listened to, and they should be being listened to, not just give lip service like you're listening to people. You need to actually listen to the people and hear what they're saying. In terms of being a team player and individual, before I ran, I talked to some members of the council to see if anybody had any issues with me, because if you line up and pick sides, you never get anything done. So you need to be able to work with people. However, I'm going to work for the issue. If a vote goes 4-1 and I'm the one and I feel strongly that's the right thing to do, then it's going to go 4-1. I'll do my best to convince the other council members of my position and the position of people that I'm representing, and you know, don't bear them any ill will or anything. I think we have a wonderful council, and I think if one of these gentlemen are elected, we'll still have a wonderful council. Thank you.
Thank you. Chihua Wei.
My strongest passion is to serve this community. I have served in the past few years, and I wanted to serve even more. That is the only motivation I want to run for this council. I want to be able to help people. I want to encourage people to help each other. I am a 100% team player. I get to people's heart. I try to understand the issues. I look at pros and cons. Many people has worked with me, knows that and can testify that for me. I really love to work with people, understand the issues, and to see what we can work together. Even if we have a different understanding, we have a different decision. When it comes to the very end, we all know it's the best for the large part of this community, for the most of the people. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so it's time for closing statements. You each have 2 minutes. We're going to go in reverse order now. So we'll start with Mark Santoro.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank everyone who's shown up and everyone who's watching on TV once again. It's wonderful to see people getting involved with the community and in learning and educating themselves before voting. In the last debate we had, someone asked the question, what do you see yourself leaving to the city? And I answered it then, and I guess I'd answer it the same now. I almost think we should outlaw plaques with city council's names on it. In terms of budgetary things, people want to build something and put a plaque so they've built a monument to themselves. And I don't think that's what's important. I think we need to have a monument to the people in the city. And the important thing I'd like to see left is that everyone in the city feels more involved and happier with their government if their government's working for them and not the other way around. So that would be what I'd like to see happen. And I'd like to encourage everyone to get out and vote. Whoever you vote for, there's some fine gentlemen up here. Take your pick, but please educate yourself and vote for what's important to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Tien Ho.
Hopefully we are giving you a hard time to decide who you're going to vote for. Of course, I hope it is me. I have a record. Like Mark, I'm not seeking any individual's endorsements because I believe as an elected official, my record speaks louder than people's endorsements. I will have an open mind to work with my fellow council members, with the staff, so that we all work for the welfare of everybody in Cupertino. I will work for all residents, young and old, working and retired, old-timers and newcomers, people of all backgrounds. I have no preset agenda. I have no personal interest in any of the issues the city is facing. I don't hold grudges against any city staff. What I offer is an open mind and elective experience on the many issues that we will be facing in the coming years. I would appreciate very much on February 5th if you connect the two arrows on number 2, Tien Ho, for City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Chihua Wei.
I want to quote from two of my best friends. One, his name is Tom Dyer. He's a dear friend, and one day he gave me a quote. He said, "It takes a village to raise a kid." That touches my heart. Another friend is Dave Knapp. He's at the 2006 Crest Award. He said, "When people help each other, there is a community." So I think I really wanted to serve in this community. If I'm on the council, I'm not just sitting there. I'm not just for you. I actually will be with you. I will be in the community and working with you hand on hand to build this city. I think we wanted to actually invest in this city. We want to invest in our children for our future of our nation and this city. We want to invest in our teens, invest in young adults, and we want to invest in our seniors. When we invest, this city grows and become a beautiful, wonderful city. And I wanted to be this person that will invest with you together to build this city, that we can actually establish a soul and a spirit of this city. When you leave this city, traveling somewhere, you look back into Cupertino. You are proud of you're coming from Cupertino, that we can all work together. And I think I have this heart. And I want you to look at this heart, and you will believe in me that I will work with you on the council, and together we build this city into a wonderful city to everyone to live together. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, if you have more questions for the candidates, they will be able to stay afterwards for a short period to answer your questions. They also have their literature out on the table right outside, so you can get their literature. They have the websites. The League has a website called smartvoter.org that will also give you a lot of information on the election on all types of subjects, including the candidates. So we encourage you to continue to get educated. The best way to vote is an educated vote, so that's a big part of what the League is all about, is make sure you're educated on the topics. I want to thank the candidates for participating tonight. Let's give them a hand. And I'd like to thank my League members that helped make this candidates forum possible tonight. Thank you all very much for coming. Please remember to vote on Tuesday, February 5th. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.